a shocker. They're saying it's going to be a shocker. The JFK Files. After years, decades and decades and decades, the JFK Files finally being released, and the evidence supposedly is shocking. I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to be shocking if these things actually get released. After the whole Epstein binder, influencer debacle, where some people got binders and there wasn't really any new information in them, and then we didn't get any more information, and then there was the whole thing with the district, the FBI district office in New York. And after all that, if these files actually get released, then yes, I will be shocked for sure. My hair is going to stand up on end, and not the hair on my head because there isn't any, but the hair on my back. I'm just kidding. I don't have any. I don't have any. I don't really have hair anywhere. Maybe my eyebrows are kind of bushy. Every now and then I get a couple growing out of my ear, but otherwise I'm a pretty hair-free person. What's up, everybody? It's going to be an exciting day, and I welcome any and all Patriots watching from all around the globe, not just here in the United States of America, but we have some Patriots in Canada. We have some in Australia. We have some in Africa and Europe. In fact, all over. And we are so excited that you found us. Make sure you subscribe because I am sitting here in Patriot HQ deep in the heart of Mar-a-Lago in Jacksonville, Florida, and I am ready, willing, and able to bring you all the content you need to continue to battle, to continue to fight so you can save the Republic every single day. But you've got to know, you've got to make sure that you're telling everybody you want this stuff. So like and share and subscribe and set the notifications. And if you're listening on the podcast page, fantastic. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast so you get this information every single day. And it's not just the JFK Files, man. There's a whole lot of stuff going on today. The JFK Files are presumably going to be released sometime today. That's very exciting, and that is something that that's very exciting. That is something that I am also going to be looking forward to in the future. The other thing is that there's going to be we've got a lot of news about not just the judge who told Donald Trump to turn those planes around, the ones that were headed with Tren de Aragua, individuals and professionals that were headed out back to their home so they could go to prison and not murder and attack and cause thuggery and evil here in the United States of America, which most people think is a good idea. Not the Democrats, not the judges, not the liberal lunatics who sit on the bench in these district courts. They are just, for whatever reason, they believe that we should have as many thuggish criminal gang members from other countries here illegally to just wreak havoc on our citizens. I don't know. I don't get it, but maybe that's why the Democrat Party has the lowest approval rating in a very, very long, under 24% of Americans approve. Oh, which, by the way, brings me to Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer, this guy, I don't know why I don't even know what he's still doing around. Chuck Schumer, this guy should probably go. This guy should probably go because Chuck Schumer, man, he's having a rough one. Chuck Schumer is having a rough one. Chuck Schumer is doing the rounds trying to explain away his horrible, I guess you would say, leadership or lack thereof in trying to stop this continuing resolution. And everybody in the Democrat Party, all the media personalities who are staunchly liberal, all those folks, they've had it with Chuck Schumer. They are ready for Chuck Schumer to go. They want Chuck Schumer to exit stage left. And if he doesn't, they're going to get that big hook and they're going to drag him off. He's getting it from every angle. He's getting it from, what's her name? Gayle King, Oprah's best friend on CBS. Gayle King basically flat out said to Chuck Schumer, we don't believe you anymore.
Hakeem and I, we have a day of action on Medicaid. In every state, in every corner of the country, Democrats are talking about they're going to Medicaid centers. They're going to people who would be deprived and
Senator, people don't have faith in the Democrats.
Well, let me say this. Look,
they don't have faith in the Democrats, she says. Senator Schumer, they don't have faith in the Democrats.
Senator, people don't have faith in the Democrats.
Yeah, no, they don't. Oopsie. People are waking up. People are finally waking up to see that the Democrat Party is not what they thought it was. They were sold one thing on the Democrat Party. They were told they were going to get everything for free. They were told that everything was going to be great. They were told that the Democrat Party had what it took to lead this country. Instead, they got inflation. They lost their jobs. Egg prices went sky high. Their gas prices went sky high. Their military became woke. There were wars, endless wars all over the world. It was ridiculous. And now Chuck Schumer, the last remaining corporal or commander in the Democrat army, is trying to make good, but he's facing a coup d'etat, not just from his own troops, but also from the media. And Sarah Haynes, I don't know if you know who Sarah Haynes is. I had to Google her myself. Sarah Haynes is the least popular and famous member of The View. You got Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, everybody knows them. Sunny Hotson, people probably know her. Anna Navarro. She's probably pretty well known. What's her name? The one who's supposedly Republican, but was like, she's like an Adam Kinzinger Republican. Alyssa Farah Griffin. And then there's the blonde girl, Sarah Haynes. And even the least famous member of The View, basically called out Chuck Schumer and said, "You're no leader."
But you were only able to get 9 Democrats to go with you. How is that leadership?
Why?
Okay. Look, the bottom line is there were a whole lot of Democrats who were torn. And they, on the one hand, people were clamoring, do something now, do something now. Now, do we have to act and do we have to fight these Republicans, this right-wing group,
the MAGA,
not all Republicans, every step of the way? But do it in the smartest way possible. If you're fighting them and then you end up in this shutdown, let me tell you something. If we ended up a shutdown 3 weeks from now, people would come to me and they'd say, they just cut off my Medicaid. They just got rid of my veterans benefits. Stop it. And I said, we can't. We're in a shutdown. And then they'd say to me, why did you let the shutdown happen?
Yeah.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I am I wake up 3 in the morning sometimes so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or klepto, whatever, or, oligarchs, I guess.
Yes.
And, but you've got to find, we are fighting them tooth and nail in every way.
By the way, did you catch that part where he said he wakes up at 3 in the morning thinking about he wakes up, he loses sleep thinking about Elon Musk and President Donald Trump.
So a lot of people responded to the anguish. I appreciate it. I wake up 3 in the morning sometimes so worried about the future of the country under these oligarchs or klepto, whatever, or, oligarchs, I guess.
Yes.
And, but
I don't think that's true, by the way. I think if he's waking up at 3 in the morning, it's because he has to pee. I mean, the guy's like, what? He's like almost 80 years old, or is he over 80? Hey, Siri, how old is Chuck Schumer? Chuck Schumer is 74.
74 years old.
Okay, Chuck Schumer is 74 years old. If this guy's waking up at 3 a.m., it's not because of Elon Musk. It's because of his bladder. It's not because of Donald Trump and the oligarchs. It's because, OMG, he's got to go drain the weasel. And look, and it happens to everybody. The older you get, the less bladder control you have. You got to wake up. That's why they make stuff like Flomax. He should probably actually look into some Flomax. But he's claiming he wakes up at 3 in the morning, just so concerned about Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
I wake up 3 in the morning sometimes so worried about the future of the country.
I don't think he's been worried about the future of the country in a very long time, if ever. This is a guy who threatened Supreme Court justices. If you're worried about the future of the country, why would you threaten the lives of Supreme Court justices? This is a guy who, has been in Congress, probably now one of the longest running or longest serving senators that we have, and has no clue or semblance. It doesn't seem like he's giving any indication that he's leaving. He's out there fighting for his life, even though a lot of people believe that AOC is the future of the party and that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they believe that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is going to make a run at the Senate. They believe that she is going to challenge Chuck Schumer in the next election for his Senate seat so that she can be the next senator from New York. And I guess maybe even the next minority leader because it's going to be a cold day in HE double hockey sticks when these people are able to win back the Senate at the rate they're going. But AOC, this is the woman, by the way, that they think should be the next senator from New York and kick Chuck Schumer to the curb.
Hey everyone, I'm just popping on. And,
to be honest, I'm not even sure why I'm popping on right now. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. I'm just popping on. Which, by the way, if she wants to avoid the whole horse face, which I don't call her horse face, I've heard other people call her horse face. She probably shouldn't go because that's the sound that a horse, makes.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
I'm just popping on. And, to be honest, I'm not even sure why I'm popping on right now. Hey,
yeah, none of us are. We're not really sure why you're popping on. We're not sure why you're popping off. We're not really sure why you're in the Congress, and we definitely aren't sure why people think that you're the face of the Democrat Party. But if you are, that's great news for the rest of us, because the rest of us are Republicans, and it's a great time to be a Republican. In fact, I was at the REC meeting, the Republican Executive Committee meeting yesterday, and the vice chairman got up and he gave a speech, and he said, isn't it a great time to be a Republican? He said, if you're a Republican, which everybody was because it was the REC meeting, and he goes, if you're a Republican, think back to last year. How did it feel to be a Republican a year ago? Didn't feel really good, did it? It was a year ago. See, it was last March. Joe Biden was the president. He was running for office. We weren't really sure. We were in the middle of it. Was just Super Tuesday had just passed, and we knew that Donald Trump was coming back to office. But still, there was inflation. There was this. There was that. It was horrible. And it was a bad. It didn't feel good to be a Republican. Now, fast forward a year, and it's the best thing in the world. There's no feeling better. Everybody wants to be a Republican. Either everybody already is a Republican or everybody wants to be a Republican. Republicans are cool. Republicans are having fun. Republicans are popular. Republicans are popular in the White House, in the Senate, in the House of Representatives. The Democrats are at the lowest point ever. And the vice chair of the REC here in Duval County said, look, the Democrats are down. Keep kicking them while they're down. Invite them to become Republicans. Say, look, it's just going to get worse if you're a Democrat. You should become a Republican. Because, look, the Democrats have no leadership. Even Sarah Haynes says there's no leadership in the Democrat Party. Gayle King says, Senator, nobody has any faith in the Democrat Party. Scott Jennings is on CNN just ripping them. Scott Jennings, Jake Tapper, by the way, Scott Jennings is too smart for pretty much anybody on the CNN panel. Jake Tapper had to stop Scott Jennings and explain his joke to the rest of the panel because they were just too dumb to get it.
First of all, I just want to say I'm grateful for Chuck Schumer today. He helped defeat a racist Jim Crow filibuster in the Senate. And to stand up against the racist Jim Crow filibuster tactics was a moment of pure courage. And I just think he should be lauded by anybody in any party for that. That's number one. Number two.
It's a deep cut. Let me just explain for people at home.
I'm just saying.
When there was a Democratic push against the filibuster, people in the Democratic Party were saying it was a racist era, Jim Crow era.
And it was
tactic, the filibuster. So he's being cheeky.
And not only that, but he saved us from the Democrats in the House laying off every single veteran in the federal government. Chuck Schumer, working with Donald Trump, saved us from that. So I think he deserves a lot of credit this morning. Scott, every veteran would have been laid off. Every veteran would have been laid off.
Scott's having a lot of fun.
That was from last Friday, but it's still a fantastic clip. And it was exactly what they talked about, the filibuster being a Jim Crow era racist tactic to stop what do you call it? I guess it would be like anti-slavery and pro-civil rights laws from being passed. Anyway, it's all coming home to roost for the Democrat Party. When you lead the way that they led for so long, you're going to eventually stumble and fall. And that's what's happening. They're stumbling and they're falling. And Chuck Schumer, I can't catch him. In fact, Chuck Schumer is the one that's sticking out his foot and they're all tripping over it. We talked about this yesterday. Chuck Schumer had to postpone his book tour. Chuck Schumer was going on a book tour because he wrote a book about anti-Semitism or something like that. And Chuck Schumer had to cancel his book tour because Democrats were so mad at him, because because he messed up this whole thing. That now what's happening is he can't even go and sell his books because there are, I guess, death threats, or there's hang on, let me pull this up there. There's a threat to Chuck Schumer that if he goes out and he starts trying to sell books, people are going to show up not because they want to buy his book, but because they want to throw the book at him.
Then the top Democrat in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, going as far as not saying he has confidence in Chuck Schumer. That was a remarkable moment on Friday. Now, we have learned that Schumer and Jeffries did meet behind closed doors yesterday in Brooklyn, trying to get back on the same page. They have huge and consequential fights ahead, but the backlash from the left is real. In fact, Wolf, Chuck Schumer was scheduled to do a book tour in a number of cities on a book that he has authored on anti-Semitism. He has just canceled that book tour, we are learning, because of protests that were scheduled from activist groups who wanted to go after his decision to agree and allow the government funding bill to go forward to avoid a government shutdown. They were furious at his decision to do that. It just shows you the anger on the left and the Democratic Party. Can they get it back together at this key moment when they are essentially leaderless in a lot of ways, essentially don't have a strategy on how to fight back against Trump, and have all this unrest on the Democratic base? That's going to be a big question for Schumer, but interesting that he decided to cancel this event. They're citing security concerns, but there were these large-scale protests, at least some protests scheduled outside these events.
Is it ironic to anybody? I mean, anyone else? You see the irony that his book about anti-Semitism, the book tour for his book about anti-Semitism, had to be canceled because of threats of violence, which is not funny, but is a little. It's a little funny. Anyway, that's Chuck Schumer's life. He's the scapegoat. Everybody is throwing this guy under the bus. He's being tossed under the bus by The View, by CBS News. Hakeem Jeffries is even looking at Chuck Schumer saying, look, dude, we did our best in the House. We all stuck together in the House, which is true. If you want to look at a strong leader in the Democrat Party, there aren't any. But the strongest is probably Hakeem Jeffries, because every single Democrat and Thomas Massie voted together against the CR. Every single Democrat and one Republican from Kentucky voted together in lockstep, like the stormtroopers. Not the ones from Star Wars. I guess the ones from Star Wars were in lockstep too. But they voted together. Not one of them faltered. Not one of them failed. In the Senate, however, Chuck Schumer led the faltering of the Democrats, and as a result, he's the one that's taken the fall. But everybody's against him. CBS News and Gayle King, Sarah Haynes and The View, his bladder is against him. Hakeem Jeffries is against him, and he's going to take the fall for this one. This will be the beginning of the end of Chuck Schumer. They're going to put him out to pasture. They're going to stab him in the back. They're going to force him to resign or retire. They're going to make way for the younger generation, just like Chuck Schumer did, ironically, with Joe Biden Jr. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. We remember the long story from the New York Magazine or New York Times Magazine or whatever it was, where Chuck Schumer drove out to Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, shaking and sweating the entire time, hadn't slept a wink the other night. By the way, that's probably because of his bladder too. And he knew what he had to do. He had the unforgivable task of driving to his best buddy, his longtime pal and compatriot, a guy he'd fought many battles with in the Senate, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., the president of the United States. And he had to sit down in the vestibule of his best bud's beach house, which was paid for with Chinese cash. And he had to look at him and say, Joe, it's time for you to go. Either you move on or we're going to have to force you out. And we'd rather not force you out. He's the one. Et tu, Chuck Kaye? He was the one that was the driving force behind getting Joe Biden to resign. He's the one that went to Joe Biden's house and said, you're not running again. He's the reason the Democrat Party got Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is the reason, well, one of the many, that Donald Trump is president again. Kamala Harris turned out to be a worse candidate than Joe. And Chuck Schumer was the guy. Really, Chuck Schumer has single-handedly destroyed the party. He kicked out the president of the United States. He put Kamala Harris on a pedestal, tried to get her elected, failed miserably. And now he's making deals with the devil, a.k.a. Donald John Trump. They're right to run him out of town on a rail. He has no business leading that party. And I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be for much, much longer. So today, Shocking news, the JFK Files will finally be released after decades and decades and decades of being kept secret by the CIA, the FBI, various different organizations. After decades and decades of everyone wondering, did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? Was the government involved? Who actually killed JFK and why? Is JFK actually dead? RFK Jr., the new Health and Human Services Secretary, has been begging Donald Trump for months. Please release the files related to the death of my uncle, the murder of my uncle, the murder of my father. I want to know everything. I want to know the truth. And Donald Trump said, I'm going to do it. And he put Tulsi Gabbard in charge and Pam Bondi and Mike Waltz, and they went through these things. And yesterday, while at the Kennedy Center, get this, President Donald Trump, and very appropriate, by the way, it was done at the Kennedy Center, which was named for the late John F. Kennedy. Donald Trump at the Kennedy Center yesterday, where he was heralding or helming his very first meeting as chairman of the board because, well, he fired everybody and he put himself in charge, which I'm all for. I'm all for. If you go to a place and you look around and you go, this place is a hellhole. Who's in charge here? And the board is like, it's us. So you go, you're all fired. I'm taking over. That's what Donald Trump did. He went, he had his first meeting. He has some great plans, by the way, for the Kennedy Center. Donald Trump, and I haven't been to the Kennedy Center in 20 years. I don't know, 20. The last time I went was probably 20 years ago. And the Kennedy Center, it was beautiful. I remember how beautiful it was, how gorgeous it was. We stood out on there's a big balcony that looks out over the Potomac River, and we could actually watch the planes fly in and land at DCA. You could see Georgetown University and the Watergate Hotel. You could see the rowers rowing along the river with the coxswain yelling, pull. Oh, wait, pull? What does the coxswain yell? Stroke. What do coxswains yell? Does the coxswain yell stroke? That's probably, that seems inappropriate for someone named the coxswain to yell stroke. But I think that's what they did. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. The fact of the matter is, it was a beautiful place back then. Apparently not so much anymore. And Donald Trump was a little shocked. So he said, look, we need to change this place because it's a little dilapidated.
So we're going to spend a lot of effort, a lot of money on crime, and we're going to spend it on fixing up. We don't want graffitis on the beautiful white statuary marble, and we want to have our roads good and everything else. We'll be able to do that easily, and this is a part of it. I mean, Kennedy Center is a very big part of it, and you can't have this looking like it does. I'm so surprised because, I know the person who was in charge of it, and he's a good man. I never realized this was in such bad shape. I've been so busy, I haven't been able to be here in a long time. And I shouldn't be with what I'm doing. But I thought it was important because I've been hearing reports, and I thought it was very important to make this good. It's a very big part of the fabric of Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it is. It's Washington, D.C. in and of itself. Donald Trump's like, look, this city is hurting. There's Muriel Bowser, all the other mayors, it's hurting. They're putting Black Lives Matter murals down on the ground. There's crime everywhere. There's all kinds of just horrible stuff. There were carjackings. Poor Lauren Boebert's got to walk around with a heater on her hip just because she doesn't feel safe in Washington D.C. I don't blame her. When I get to Washington D.C., I have to talk to somebody about this. I don't know if any of my congressional friends actually carry guns. I'm going to have to ask them. But I know that Lauren Boebert, I know Thomas Massie, I know a couple of others. They've got their concealed carry permits, and they went to the local authorities, whatever, and they carry guns with them at all times, which in D.C., it's very important, especially if you're a person of high regard or a public figure like a congressperson or a senator. I would imagine you definitely want to be somebody who can protect themselves, especially with the dilapidated way that DC has been destroyed. But Donald Trump said, look, there's a lot that has to be done here at the Kennedy Center. And he stood up. This was great. He stood up in one of the grand balcony boxes. There's the balcony, and he made a proclamation to everybody underneath about how he was going to fix the Kennedy Center and bring it back to its glory days.
So we're going to spend a lot of...
Wait, that's not it. It's this one. It's this one here.
We're going to make a lot of changes, including the seats, the decor, Pretty much everything. Needs a lot of work.
Mr. President, are you surprised by the reaction that the Vice President got here at the Kennedy Center the other evening?
I don't know about that. He's the most popular vice president we've had in years. He's done a great job. I don't know anything about it. I figured you'd ask a question like that.
Mr. President, what are we talking about price-wise to renovate, to bring it up to your
We're looking at that, whatever it is. I think, it's such an important part of the fabric of the country and of D.C. So we want to do it right. We'll do it right, and we'll do it once. So you want a little picture like this? Perfect. Go ahead. Are you guys ready? Come on.
He's just sitting up. He's having such a blast. He's just yelling down answers at the plebes. He's just like the peons from the media are down there, and he's standing up and he's just like, I figured you'd ask a question like that. I don't know anything about that. He's the most popular. I figured you'd ask a question like that. Whatever. I don't know. Listen, we're gonna sprinkle money all over this. It's so important. It's part of the fabric of our lives. By the way, I really want to get Donald Trump one of these little lapel mics. I wear these are great. I have so many of these, but it's like a little lapel mic. And what happens? It connects directly to a camera or a recorder or whatever. And what happens is this little lapel mic, you clip it on there and it picks up everything you say perfectly. And I think that Donald Trump should get one of these for two reasons. Number one, he's always doing interviews. He's always being asked questions. And sometimes, he's in front of a helicopter, or sometimes he's in front of the airplane engines. And then these media people, what they have to do is they have to hold these boom mics. And we all saw what happened last week with that NPR reporter who swung that boom mic right into Donald Trump's face. That would avoid those kinds of things. He would be recorded. Everything would be recorded. It would all be there. They could all have access to the audio so they could play it whenever they wanted to. And then he wouldn't get slammed in the face with boom mics by left-wing NPR boom operators. Anyway, so after Donald Trump took these questions and talked about what his big plans for the Kennedy Center, he then went into the lobby and he said, look, I want to make an announcement, and this is the best place to do it. I'm releasing the Kennedy Files.
But while we're here, I thought it would be appropriate. We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy Files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK Files, and that would be tomorrow. Do you have anything else to add to that, Carolyn? So that's a big announcement. They've been waiting for that for decades. Then I said during the campaign I'd do it, and I'm a man of my word. So tomorrow you have the JFK Files. What time will they be released?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, okay.
Have you seen what's in the files? Have you read them?
I've heard about them.
Was there anything interesting?
It's going to be very interesting.
Was there an executive summary supplied to you, Mr. President?
No, I'm not doing summaries. You'll write your own summaries. It's many pages. Is it 80,000 pages? Approximately 80,000 pages. So it's a lot of stuff. And you'll make your own determination.
80,000 pages. 80,000 pages of unredacted JFK files being released sometime this afternoon, which could be any minute. It could be any minute. In fact, I've got the I should have the bat signal on over there. It's 80,000 pages of unredacted JFK material. If you're keeping track, that is 80,000 times more pages of Jeffrey Epstein documents than have been released so far. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But that's it. And Donald Trump goes, is there an executive summary? Nah, you summarize it yourself. How are we going to summarize 80,000 pages? Yesterday I was like, hey, Grok. In fact, I should probably ask Grok, how long would it take you to summarize 80,000 unredacted pages? In fact, you know what? Let's do that. Bear with me, folks. I want to make sure, because I don't have a producer. I'm on my own, right? I'm a one-man show. Grok, how long would it take you to summarize summarize in bullet points 80,000 unredacted pages of JFK Assassination, which has 4 S's, by the way, Assassination Files, ? Summarizing 80,000 pages of unredacted JFK assassination files into bullet points would depend on a few factors, like the complexity of the context and how concise the summary needs to be. As an AI, I can process and analyze text much faster than a human. Think of it as reading at super speed. Okay, I know what you can do. Here's a rough estimate. Average reading speed for, assuming an average of 250 words per page, the 80,000 pages would be about 20 million words. If I process as a conservative rate of 10,000 words per second, that's 2,000 seconds or roughly 33 minutes. Wow. To read everything. Summarizing involves distilling key points, which requires additional computation. Let's say it takes me twice as long to extract and organize points as it does to read, about 66 minutes total. So I could likely produce a bullet point summary of 80,000 pages in around 1 to 2 hours, depending on how detailed you wanted it. That's insanity. This is one of the reasons why I love AI. Also, it doesn't talk back. It just answers your questions. It doesn't like if I ask Grok a question, it never goes, why do you want to know? That was my biggest pet peeve when I talk to actual humans. When I worked with actual humans, I'd be like, hey, can you do this? And they'd be like, why? Or I'm like, hey, did you do this? They're like, what do you mean? What'd you hear? And I'm like, don't answer my question with a question. Just give me the answer. Give me the answer that I'm looking for. But anyway, so 80,000 pages of unredacted JFK files are coming out later today. And in just 2 hours, Grok can give us a full description of everything that's in them. Now there are some people who have seen them. For example, the deputy communications director, deputy press secretary. That's correct. Who said that, oh yeah, I've seen them and they're shocking. They are shocking.
The American people will have their hands on these documents and there will be a story to tell. I won't preview that story, but let me tell you, the American people are truly going to be shocked at what they see.
Yeah, and I told you, I would truly be shocked if these things actually come out, which they haven't yet, but they're supposed to come out sometime today. And that's the White House saying there's a story to tell and the American people are going to be shocked when it's told.
The American people will have their hands on these documents and there will be a story to tell. I won't preview that story, but let me tell you, the American people are truly going to be shocked at what they see.
Yeah, speaking of shocked, Chief Justice, unfortunately, John Roberts just came out with a statement rebuking something that President Donald Trump said. Now, it's rare that justices, especially chief justices of the United States Supreme Court, would just come out with a blanket statement rebuking the president of the United States. It's happened before. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg said something about Donald Trump once, totally without any kind of reason or point to it. And it doesn't matter. But Chief Justice John Roberts has come out and rebuked Donald Trump for something he posted on X regarding the judge who it was a district court judge, and he ordered Donald Trump to stop flights of Tren de Aragua criminals, thugs, gang members, murderers, rapists. He ordered the flights to be returned to the United States of America. Think about this. A judge whose job it is to uphold the Constitution and protect Americans and serve justice, a judge in district court ordered a plane full of murderous, illegal immigrants who were being deported to return back, which was multiple planes, to the United States of America. And this became an issue with some people. Like, why did Donald Trump send these people out there? This judge is ordering him to come back. They should bring these people back. I mean, I don't know if you can believe it, but this actually happened. Caroline Leavitt mentioned it yesterday in her press briefing.
I would remind everybody in this room that Tren de Aragua is a foreign terrorist organization operating within the United States of America because the previous administration allowed them to invade our country. These are monsters who tortured, raped, and murdered a 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungre. They murdered 22-year-old nursing student Laken Riley. They led a multi-state sex trafficking operation involving smuggling women into the United States, holding them in stash houses in Louisiana, Florida, New Jersey, Texas, and Virginia, and forcing them into prostitution. They kidnapped and murdered a 33-year-old woman in Texas. They sexually and physically assaulted a woman and her daughter in Wisconsin. They conducted a mass shooting in Illinois. They peddled untraceable ghost guns across New York City, took over an Aurora, Colorado apartment complex where they kidnapped and tortured victims. And by the way, many of you in the mainstream media said that didn't happen. It turned out that it did. And because of the effective immigration policies of this administration, those foreign terrorists were detained and they are no longer operating on American soil. And we have President Trump to thank for that.
Yeah, and the district judge wants these people to be brought back because the ACLU has a problem with it. The American Civil Liberties Union, which I don't understand, the American Civil Liberties Union, you would think would want Americans to experience liberty, but instead they want Americans to live in fear of crime. They want Americans to live in fear of non-Americans. They want the civil liberties of regular Americans to be under attack by illegal immigrants because apparently the American Civil Liberties Union is more involved with or concerned with foreign civil liberties than American civil liberties. But I digress. And so they issued a challenge and this district court judge agreed with them and ordered the planes to come back. And CNN doesn't understand why that's a bad thing. Luckily, Stephen Miller, Deputy White House Deputy Chief of Staff, is there to explain it to them very slowly and in small fifth grader words that they can understand.
So you called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to interfere with, to enjoin, to restrict, or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So, Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I fail to see how there's any other way but to start with where we're starting here before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not justiciable. In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the president is exercising his Article 2 powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief.
Is Venezuela invading the U.S.?
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a commander-in-chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. Does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
Well, Stephen, my question. If you could answer my question first.
In other words,
is Venezuela invading our country in a way that would apply this way?
So I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by a foreign
state
government.
or a government, right? Are they a state or a government?
This would be, yes, it is documented that TDA was sent by the Venezuelan government in the proclamation. And here's an even more important point. Under the Constitution, who makes that determination? A district court judge elected by no one or the commander-in-chief of the Army and Navy? The president and the president alone makes it.
Okay, so this goes on for like 6 more minutes, by the way. But he's saying, look, we know that the Venezuelan government issued documentation and actually what do you call it? They were they basically provided the transport for a lot of these criminals out of their prison system into the United States of America so they wouldn't have to worry about it. So it was a government incursion of some kind, but it doesn't matter because Tren de Aragua is a terrorist organization just like ISIS, just like a cartel, just like the Houthis. And Donald Trump, as the commander-in-chief, has the right to do with them as he wishes if he is using his Article 2 constitutional powers, which he was. And no district court judge from Texas or anywhere else has the right to stop him from being the commander-in-chief. A district court judge can't tell Donald Trump, you have to stop bombing ISIS-K troops in Somalia or in Afghanistan or wherever. They can't say, Donald Trump, you don't have the right. A district court judge should say, you don't have the right to bomb Houthi rebels in Yemen who are attacking our cruise ships and our cargo ships. They don't have that authority. It's in, what do you say? It's justiciable. I can't even pronounce the word because I'm not nearly that smart. Also, I got waitlisted from one of the finest law schools in the country. I didn't go to Duke like Stephen Miller, but the fact of the matter is this judge is well overstepping his boundaries. He's well overstepping the rights that he has been granted as a judge in a district court. And it's ridiculous the things he's asking for. In fact, the Department of Justice, thank God, they basically told this judge they basically told this judge to go stick it. The New York Times has a pretty decent timeline of everything that happened. On Friday, President Trump signed the executive order invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. The order targeted a criminal gang called Tren de Aragua and claimed it was carrying out an invasion of the United States. The administration targeted more than 200 people for deportation. More than half were targeted using the authority cited in the executive order. Fun fact, the other half were a Title IX problem, which Donald Trump has full rights and authority to use to get people out of the country, but I digress. Saturday, March 15th, the Trump administration formally announced the executive order. The American Civil Liberties Union and Democracy Forward, a liberal-leaning legal organization, filed a lawsuit on behalf of 5 Venezuelan men being held in immigration custody. Trump officials said they delayed the deportation of the 5 included in the lawsuit, but continued with the deportation flights for others in custody. At 5:26 p.m., the first deportation flight in question, Global X Flight 6143, departed from Harlingen, Texas. At 5:44 p.m., a second flight, Global X Flight 6145, departed Harlingen. Around 6:48, before the planes arrived in El Salvador, Judge Boasberg verbally directed the government to turn around planes carrying people being removed under the executive order, according to a court transcript. You shall inform your clients of this immediately, and that any plane containing these folks that is going to take off or is in the air needs to be returned to the United States, the judge said. So just, if you're keeping up, Donald Trump and ICE and Tom Homan and everybody else involved and Kristi Noem, they say, look, we're using this law that grants the United States, the president of the United States, the power to round up enemy combatants and ship them out of here. We're not putting them in Gitmo. We're not murdering them. We're not throwing them in the ocean. We're putting them on a plane. We're sending them back to their country of origin, totally unscathed. What happens to them once they're there? Totally different story. But we're going to put them on a plane and we're going to drop them at the airport and then we're going to come home. And a judge says, turn those planes around. You've got to turn. I'm issuing a verbal order to turn the planes around. At the time of Judge Boasberg, this is my favorite part of the story, by the way. At the time of Judge Boasberg's verbal order, one of the planes was over Mexico. A second was over the Gulf of Mexico, which the Trump administration renamed to the Gulf of America. So the New York Times still using the terminology Gulf of Mexico. The planes did not turn around. At 7:26 p.m., the judge's written order, which did not include the instruction to turn the planes around, was posted online. At that point, the first plane was over Honduras, the second was over Mexico, and the third was still on the ground in Texas. At 7:36 p.m., the third deportation flight departed from Harlingen. So 10 minutes after the written order, which did not say turn the planes around, the third plane took off. Sunday, March 16th, President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador posted on social media, oopsie, too late. That actually happened. This is actually what's going on. President Nayib Bukele of El Salvador posted on social media, oopsie, too late. The Post referred to a New York Post headline that said, Fed judge orders deportation flights carrying alleged Venezuelan gangbangers to return to U.S., blocks Trump from invoking Alien Enemies Act. Secretary of State Marco Rubio promoted the Post on his personal X account. At 8:13 a.m., Mr. Bukele posted a 3-minute video with dramatic footage of men being marched off a plane and into prison. You've probably seen that video by now. If not, I'd show it to you, but there's a rock anthem that I know has copyrighted music on it, so I'm just not going to play it. I don't care. In an interview on Fox News, Thomas D. Homan, Mr. Trump's border czar, was dismissive of concerns that the Trump administration violated a court order. I don't care what the judge thinks, he said, adding that the plane was already over international waters with a plane full of terrorists and significant public safety threats. We removed terrorists. That should be a celebration in this country. I think I have that clip, actually. Tom Homan, by the way, Tom Homan doesn't play. Tom Homan has one. He's got one job, right? Donald Trump hired him. Donald Trump said, do this. Tom Homan is doing it. And he's not gonna listen to anybody else.
And let's remember, many of those on the plane were removed through Title VIII, not through the Alien Enemies Act. So, again, it was the right thing to do. That's what the people of this country mandated President Trump deal with the border crisis, deal with illegal immigration, and deal with illegal alien crime. And that's exactly what we did. We removed terrorists. That should be a celebration. We removed terrorists from this country, and I stand by what the president did. I support 100%.
Yeah. By the way, I am celebrating every moment. I would celebrate. In fact, I think I did celebrate. But yeah, basically, that's exactly what's been happening. And now, here, I'll get to the last part of I was looking for the oopsie too late. Anyway, and then here we go. Then here's the last part. Yesterday, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, said that the administration was following only the judge's written order issued at 7:26 p.m., not the verbal order given from the bench at 6:48. All of the planes subject to the written order of this judge departed U.S. soil, U.S. territory before the judge's written order, she said. Ms. Leavitt did not appear to address the third flight, which took off after the judge's written order was posted. At 5 p.m., this is where it gets interesting, Judge Boasberg held a hearing on whether the White House violated his order. Mr. Cambley, the Justice Department lawyer, refused to answer questions, saying that the only information he was authorized to disclose, even to the judge, was that the government did not violate the order. Now, keep in mind, the district court judge is like here, okay? Tom Homan, the president of the United States, Kristi Noem, and anyone else involved in this are way up here. And the security clearances, the national security and top secret clearances of anyone up here, it far surpasses the top secret security clearances of a district court judge in Texas, which I believe is 0. If this judge has any top secret security clearance, I'd be shocked. And now he's demanding answers to his questions, which are top secret, which are not in his realm or purview of top secret clearance. So the Justice Department lawyer is like, I'm sorry, I can't tell you any of these. I can't answer your questions because you don't have the clearance. You're not allowed to know the answers to the questions, which I imagine angered the judge even more. Mr. Cambley argued that there was a difference between the judge's verbal and written orders. Judge Boasberg told the Trump administration to respond by noon on Tuesday, was today, with more detailed answers to his question. Donald Trump did respond, by the way. And I don't think it was the kind of response that this judge wanted. Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social, this radical left lunatic of a judge, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama, was not elected president. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2,750 to 525 counties. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons in an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been the #1 reason for this historic victory. I'm just doing what the voters wanted me to do. This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached. We don't want vicious, violent, and demented criminals, many of them deranged murderers, in our country. Make America great again. Well, that was Donald Trump saying, hey, look, this guy's an idiot. He's way out of his league. He's doing and saying things that are not in his jurisdiction, and he's interfering with my authority as granted by the U.S. Constitution and the Alien Removal Act, or whatever it's called, of 17 yada yada. And now Justice John Roberts, out of nowhere, jumps in to comment on what President Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social. SCOTUS Chief Justice John Roberts said that President Trump's call to impeach crooked federal judges is inappropriate. Quote, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. George, who posted this, writes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with impeaching judges who blatantly violate the Constitution with their orders. Robert should buy a pocket Constitution and read it again. Correct, by the way. Impeachment is as constitutional as the appellate process. The normal appellate process, if you have a disagreement with a judge's opinion, is fine. But the impeachment process is there for judges and other members of authorities who, other people who violate or overstep their bounds. If you have a judge who's not acting within the purview of the Constitution or the realm of the Constitution, it is your right and responsibility to call for their impeachment. If you have a president or a vice president who is disregarding their duties or is breaking the law, or is violating their oath to uphold the Constitution and protect American citizens from all enemies, foreign and domestic, if they're not doing that, then you have the right to impeach them as well. And this judge, in my opinion, and the opinion of the president, and the opinion of millions of other Americans, is violating their constitutional oath and putting Americans in harm's way by ordering that not 1, not 2, but 3 planes full of dangerous criminal murderers, rapists, thugs, and gang members be returned to the United States of America. And the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, John Roberts, agrees with him. It's very interesting. This is what's going to happen with Donald Trump being as strong and as powerful as he is. Donald Trump, with the backing of the American people, Donald Trump he's got the support of Americans. He's got the highest approval ratings of all time. He's got the Senate firmly behind him. He's got the House of Representatives, with the exception of Thomas Massie, firmly behind him. He's got major media outlets, not all of them, but some of them firmly behind him. He's got a mandate from the American people by winning all 7 of those swing states by a lot, by winning the popular vote, by turning the country red, by winning 80% of the counties in this country. Donald Trump has done an amazing job establishing himself as the person who has been granted authority by the people and who has a mandate, a strict agenda to make this country great again, which includes the economy, which includes the border wall, which includes this massive deportation effort to clear out any and all threats to the United States of America. And anybody who gets in his way, he's going to call out. And if you disagree with the president, that's great, but it doesn't mean that the president is wrong. The judge could be wrong, and most people believe is wrong in this particular instance. And the American people are 1,000% going to side with Donald Trump on this issue. Nobody except for the ACLU and a handful of crazy Democrats thinks that 3 planefuls of El Salvadoran or Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang members should be here in the United States instead of, back in El Salvador where they belong. I have the video here. I'll play the video, but I'm not going to play the audio. I said I'm not going to play the audio. If you didn't see the video, this is them. This is the military arriving. Which, by the way, whoever does the social media account for the United States Border Patrol or for the White House must have had a hand in this because it's so expertly done. These are all of these social media tidbits that we see, the White House videos that come out, the videos, for example, that the Border Patrol put out on their Instagram. All of these are major Hollywood production style videos. They have drone footage. They've got great editing. They've got fantastic music. They've got close-ups. The lighting is great. They tell a real story. And for like 3 minutes, you start to see these vile individuals come off the plane. They're dragged by police into the prison. We'll get to the fun part on these buses, these silver menacing buses that look like they're out of just, some kind of movie. And then their heads are shaved. All the hair, their heads, their beards, their mustaches, their little jazz, their little, what do you call it, flavor savers, whatever it is. If they've got hair on their head, it is all shaved off. And then they're all tossed in a cell to deal with each other. And that's exactly the kind of justice that's administered in those countries. Here in the United States of America, we don't administer that kind of justice because we have judges who go, no. I'm a district court judge and the ACLU is mad. You need to make sure that you're bringing those people back and you're not allowing any other planes. You're not allowing any other planes to take off because that is bad. I don't know for whom, but clearly not for the United States of America. I did want to touch, there's a lot going on, by the way, with ICE and Tren de Aragua. And also there's some stuff going on with the Houthis too that I wanted to get to. Oh, and the auto pen. But before we do, I needed to remind you of our favorite sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. And Colonial Metals Group has put together a free gold guide because who doesn't love free stuff? And if you go to freegoldguide.com/KAYE, that's my last name, freegoldguide.com/KAYE, you can fill out this little form and you can download your free Colonial Metals Group gold guide for 2025. And what this gold guide does is it shows you all kinds of amazing things about investing with a precious metals based IRA, how you can fight inflation and de-dollarization, which are two things still, how simple it is to safeguard your retirement in a tax-free and penalty-free Colonial Metals IRA, how you can use this IRS loophole to protect your financial future, and limited time offers and qualifying accounts can claim up to $7,500 in free silver. Let me say that again in case you didn't hear me. Up to $7,500 in free silver. And that ain't no joke, man. Any kind of silver is great, but free silver, that's probably the best kind of silver you're going to get offered all day today. So go to freegoldguide.com/KAYE, freegoldguide.com/KAYE, my last name, to get your free gold guide right now from Colonial Metals Group. We're very, very excited about that. One other thing that's happening is this auto pen controversy. The auto pen, yesterday, Caroline Leavitt was talking in the press briefing room about the auto pen because it's still unclear whether or not the auto pen was used to sign the pardons for Hunter Biden, for the January 6th committee, including Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and the rest of them. And that is a question that it looks like will be left up to the courts because Donald Trump and the DOJ, for some reason, I think we know why, are investigating whether or not these pardons are going to hold water.
The president was begging the question that I think a lot of journalists in this room should be asking about whether or not the former president of the United States, who I think we can all finally agree was cognitively impaired. I know it took people some time to finally admit that, but we all know that to be true, as evidenced by his disastrous debate performance against President Trump during the campaign. I digress on that. But the president was raising the point that did the president even know about these pardons? Was his legal signature used without his consent or knowledge? And that's not just the president or me raising those questions, Caitlin. According to the New York Post, there are Biden officials from the previous White House who raised those questions and wondered if the president was even consulted about his legally binding signature being signed onto documents. And so I think it's a question that everybody in this room should be looking into, because certainly that would propose perhaps criminal or illegal behavior if staff members were signing the President of the United States autograph without his consent.
Biden is on the record talking about issuing preemptive pardons to these people.
But was he aware of his signature being used on every single pardon? That's a question you should ask the Biden White House.
Is there any evidence on that he wasn't aware of it?
You're a reporter. You should find out.
Oh, look at that. Boom. I love a good spin. You're a reporter. You should find out. You're an investigative journalist. Why don't you, investigate? Caroline Leavitt is not a lawyer. She doesn't work for the DOJ. She works for the White House. So if you have a question about any kind of involvement into a, whether or not the Biden White House knew, or whether or not Joe Biden knew that his signature was being used, why don't you ask the Joe Biden people? They're the ones that should know. In fact, they asked Donald Trump, too, at the Kennedy Center. They go, well, sir, have you ever used, an auto pen? And Donald Trump's like, of course I have.
Have you yourself ever used auto pens, sir?
Yeah, only for very unimportant papers. And I don't call them unimportant. If you do letters where people write in and, they'd love to have a response, or we'll write responses, and I'll sign them whenever I can. But when I can't, I, would use an auto pen. But to use them for what they've used them for is terrible.
Yeah, the line is the auto pen is there for whenever you have a massive amount of signatures or signatures that you just can't get to, but Donald Trump said it's for, not unimportant documents, but not legally binding documents. A letter to somebody, for example. Thank you for visiting the White House. Thank you for sending me this picture of your dog. Whatever it is. Those aren't legally binding. Christmas cards. I know, for example, the auto pen signs a Christmas card. I know that because there was an episode of The West Wing where President Bartlett wanted to sign all the Christmas cards, but they said there's 19,000 of them. So they used the auto pen. Those are the kinds of things that the auto pen is used for, a signature that is not going to have to stand up in court. But when you're talking about pardons, when you're talking about granting somebody clemency and granting them innocence from any and all crimes, especially these blanket pardons, if it were even a specific pardon, that's one thing. But this is a blanket pardon saying anything and everything that these people did that was against the law, from parking illegally to speeding to treason against the United States of America. Any and all things that these people are guilty of, wiped clean. And was Joe Biden even aware that it was happening? Did Joe Biden know that the auto pen was used to grant clemency to all of these people? That is the question that nobody except for the Donald Trump administration seems to be asking. Adam Kinzinger, who received one of these pardons as a member of the J6 committee, was on CNN acting all cavalier about it.
What was your reaction when you saw Trump's post last night declaring your preemptive pardon void and vacant?
Well, first off, I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to distract from, because that's what all this is, always a distraction to try to get people's attention, or maybe he hasn't felt like he's gotten enough attention. But look, Jake, it's like, bring it on. Like, honestly, so, we had an election. I fought against Donald Trump. I wanted Kamala Harris to win. January 6th was a big thing, but America made a different choice. Fine. I'm ready to move on. I'm like, look, we made it very clear what happened on January 6th. America made a decision. There is one person that's obsessed about the 6th because he still has been basically deemed guilty in the court of public opinion, and that's Donald Trump, and he can't handle it. He obsesses about it. So my reaction to him is like, you know what? Then bring it. Like, stop talking about it. Stop being all verbose. Stop pretending like you're tough. Bring the charges then if you really want to do it, because we will crush you in court, and it'll make me 3 times more effective against you. Look, honestly, Jake, I'm ready to move on too. But if he wants to keep bringing it up, bring it up or be quiet. That's how I feel.
It'll make him 3 times more effective than he is now. What's 3 times 0? I think it's 0, but I'll have to check with Grok on that one. Tough guy Adam Kinzinger saying, bring it on. I think Donald Trump's planning to, I don't think you need to taunt Donald Trump. I think he is going to bring it on. And the first step, of course, is to see if your pardon is official. If it's not official, or if it is void, or if it is vacant, well, then you're going to have probably a much longer legal battle after that. And CNN, by the way, don't worry, they're not even going to investigate. Donald Trump also had a moment yesterday where he ran into an NBC reporter and told the NBC reporter exactly what he thought of them.
Sir, and when you signed the CR,
Who are you with?
Sir, I'm with NBC News.
That's the same one. I don't want to talk to NBC anymore. I think you're so discredited.
Mr. President.
Yeah, and that's a tough time to be an NBC report. You don't want to be an NBC reporter when Donald Trump's in the White House. Oh, also, Caroline Leavitt had some tough words for the French administrator. There's a French administrator. There's some low-level official in France who wants the Statue of Liberty back because America is now with Trump poo-poo liberty. So we want the statue back. Tout sweet. And she was asked a question about that by, I think it was Peter Doocy.
There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty anymore. They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
Oh, sacre bleu! She's in your face. Caroline Leavitt handing it to the French people who are just being ridiculous. And and everyone's just trying. They're trying to ride Donald Trump's coattails. They're trying to get publicity for themselves any way that they can. You can't have the French. You can't have the Statue of Liberty back. We're not giving back the Louisiana Purchase. We might go back to calling French fries freedom fries, though, which I think is probably the way to go. We're still waiting, by the way, for the JFK files to be released. They have not yet been released. It's sometime this afternoon, is what we're hearing. Sometime this afternoon, these files will be released. We do know, however, that, first of all, the astronauts who Joe Biden left so callously in space for political reasons are now on their way home. And that is thanks to Elon Musk. Elon Musk posted on his X account that the I guess it was the Eagle. What's it called? Eagle Talon, something like that. It's on its way. It's departed the International Space Station, and it is now headed back. In fact, there was really riveting footage of it. Oh, here it is. SpaceX Dragon. SpaceX Dragon is what it's called. And here it is departing.
And undocking confirmed.
Undocking confirmed.
Freedom is free of its moorings.
Freedom's free. Freedom don't come free, actually.
Butch Wilmore begin their belated trip home.
Okay. So now the astronauts are on their way home. I imagine this top capsule part kind of slams shut. I would imagine. I don't know for sure, though. But I think what happens is this top capsule part slams shut.
Docking occurring right on time at 12:05 a.m. Central Time.
Okay. So they're going to
5 a.m. Eastern Time.
They're going to clear, and then I imagine that capsule part.
All hooks open.
Yeah, I imagine that capsule. It was really fascinating. I mean, it's really fascinating to watch this kind of thing happen. Oh, by the way, in the meantime, in Las Vegas, several Tesla vehicles are being burned again. Video provided to the Las Vegas Review-Journal shows several Tesla vehicles engulfed in flames after Las Vegas police say they were set on fire by an individual early Tuesday morning. They should change individual in that to liberal, because I think we all know who's lighting Teslas on fire, and Elon, look, he just writes, this level of violence is insane and deeply wrong. Tesla just makes electric cars and has done nothing to deserve these evil attacks. Right. Tesla is just one company, and it's not even owned by Elon. It's owned by stockholders. I mean, he's a stockholder, but there's so many other companies that he owns. They're not going after the Boring Company. They're not going after SpaceX. They're not going after any of those companies. They're not going after PayPal. Well, he doesn't own PayPal anymore. They're just going after Tesla, which has become, for some reason, the symbol of Elon Musk and Doge. I'm not really sure why. They're not going after Twitter. Well, they were, I guess, last week they did go after X, but I guess that's kind of suffice. It's really kind of bizarre and sad the way that these liberals do things. Speaking of bizarre and sad liberals, I did want to leave you once more with AOC, who did probably the worst thing you can do on social media.
Hey everyone, I'm just popping on, and to be honest, I'm not even sure why I'm popping on right now. Hey everybody, hey everyone, thanks for joining. I mean,
yeah, she got nothing. AOC went on live to her hundreds of thousands of followers and had no idea what she was doing, no clue, didn't know why she was there, didn't know what she was trying to accomplish, was just wasting everybody's time. And that, in my humble opinion, is a big no-no when it comes to social media. If you have a following of any size, you always want to make sure that you know why you're producing content for those people. And one of the things that I put together, which happens tomorrow night, is something called my Dollars for Followers Masterclass, where I teach you how to use content, good content, quality content, content that people are going to enjoy, content that people are going to get value from, to earn a living for yourself. You can make $1 for every follower you have when I give you my $1 for every follower social sales system that prints money every time I post. And it's good for whichever social media platform you want. And trust me, I've used them all. The masterclass is $17. It's a one-time discounted payment. It's fully refundable if you don't like it, but nobody doesn't like it. It's a 1-hour masterclass, and we go through 3 parts: sales, content, social media techniques that I use to make $1 per follower. Part 1 shows you how to make $1 for every follower you have. Part 2 talks about creating content that doesn't just get you likes and follows, but also cash. I call it cash flow content. And it's your instruction manual on how to stop posting for fun and start posting for funds. And then with part 3, I give you the system so you can grow and repeat profit over and over again, grow your following, repeat profit over and over again. And then at the very end, this is my favorite part. We bring some people up on the Zoom call. We bring them live up on the Zoom stage, and we'll go through your content and audit it and give you helpful hints and suggestions. If you'd like, we'll go through your profile and we'll show you how to maximize it. So you're not just getting fans and followers and friends. You're also able to make a living financially. And there's a whole description. There's a video you can watch. There's a 100% money back guarantee. Spots are limited, and this does happen tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Eastern. It's a live Zoom masterclass. So if you would like to join, go to dollarsforfollowers.com, or you can click on the link, which is in the description of this video, dollarsforfollowers.com, or click on the link in the description of this video and make sure you join us tomorrow night for that live masterclass, which is everybody that comes loves it. They learn so much, and they walk away with a new and exciting outlook on how their social media can change their lives. And I want you to have that exact same thing. Maybe AOC should come. Maybe I'll invite her. Listen, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to set the notifications, and let whatever social media platform you're watching right now, whatever podcast platform you're on right now, let them know you like this content and you want more of it. Let them know. Send me Mark Kaye Saves the Republic whenever and wherever it's available, in whatever form, short form, long form, audio only, reel. Anything at all. Just hit subscribe, like, set those notifications, and we'll continue to bring you information every single day about what's going on in Washington, D.C., about what's going on in the United States of America, about what's going on in the world, and today, even what's going on out of this world, because it's important that you stay fully informed. It's important that you stay engaged. It's important that you stay inspired, and it's important to me, at least, that you do it all in a way that's entertaining. And that's why every single day I turn on this microphone and that camera and I fire up these lights and I come to you live so that you get all of that information, inspiration, enlightenment, engagement, entertainment, everything you need to continue to fight and save the Republic. I will see you tomorrow night at the Dollars for Followers Masterclass. Go to dollarsforfollowers.com or click the link right now and register for tomorrow night's class. See you then.